For a very long time, real estate investment have been exclusively for the rich, for those who are at the top. If you're not financially rich, you don't have any business doing real estate. But as I speak to you now, that is no longer the case, because almost anybody can invest in real estate. There's an opportunity for everybody in real estate, and today I'm going to be revealing one of those opportunities to you. It's an opportunity that has transformed the life of people over time. It's an opportunity that have helped both the poor and the rich alike. Everybody can be a beneficiary of this opportunity in real estate. You don't have to break the bank for you to invest in this sector of real estate. Whether you are poor, whether you are rich, you can invest in this opportunity. You don't have to have connection. Whoever you are, you can invest in this real estate opportunity, and that is what I'm going to be revealing to you in this episode. Now, what opportunity am I talking about? The opportunity I'm talking about in real estate is nothing but land banking. What is land banking, and how can this opportunity change your life as a person? If you want to know more about land banking and how you can benefit massively from land banking opportunity, please stay tuned to the end of this video. I promise that you are going to be learning something new from this video. In case you're meeting me for the first time, my name is Chris Asika. Please do well to subscribe to our channel, click on the bell notification so you'll be notified when we post new videos, and also do well to give this video a thumbs up. Land banking is the process of buying land in undeveloped location for the purpose of developing it or selling it in the future. Before you go into land banking, one thing you must have at the back of your mind is time. Land banking is not a get rich quick scheme. You can make good money in land banking if you have the patience to wait. In fact, the more you wait, the more money you make through land banking. If you're in a haste to make money, then land banking is not for you. But if you are ready to wait to be rich, land banking is for you. Land banking will not make you get rich overnight, but land banking is a guaranteed way of getting rich. So if you don't want to gamble with your future, if you want to predict your future, you want to predict where you will be in the future, where you are going to live, the kind of lifestyle you will be living in the future, then land banking is for you. Literally, what land banking is all about is when you figure out that a place is going to develop, when you figure out that development is going towards a particular location, you rush to that place, you buy as much as you can, you hold it, and when the development which you forecasted have already come, people will be rushing towards that location. The demand for properties in that location will be very, very high. Then you sell to the latecomers, and you are going to sell at a very high price. You will sell at a very high profit. I'm going to be revealing to you so many things about land banking. I'm going to be revealing to you why you should do land banking, where you should buy if you want to do land banking, when you should buy, how much you can make from land banking, the right way to do it, mistake people are making in land banking, how to make more money in land banking, and when to sell. Now, I'm going to be revealing to you 4 reasons why you should do land banking. The first reason why you should do land banking is for capital appreciation. Land is one asset that you can buy 50,000 naira a plot today, and in some years to come, you are going to sell that same plot you bought 50,000, you will sell it for 5 million. A popular pastor in Nigeria told us how the land he bought for 70,000 naira per acre, that same land is selling now for 5 million naira for a plot. Remember, an acre is 6 plots of land. He bought 6 plots of land, 70,000 naira, and today that same land that he bought 6 plots for 70,000 is selling 5 million naira for just 1 plot. So that is the power of capital appreciation in land banking. So one of the reasons why you should do land banking is for capital appreciation. If you put your money in land, that money will continue to appreciate in value. It will continue to appreciate. It can never depreciate. Land banking is one place you can put your money. If you put 5 million, it is not possible that the next day you are going to sell your land for 1 million. It is not possible in land banking. If you put 5 million, you are guaranteed that you are going to sell that property higher than what you bought it. The second reason why you should do land banking is that you can add value to land. If you buy a land, you can add value to it and sell it for a higher price. For instance, if you buy a land, you can decide to develop it. You can decide to get some documentation on the land which you buy. You can decide to fence it, put a gate and leave it, or you can decide to build a rental apartment in that house and you rent it out. So you can add value to the land and you sell it at a higher price. Another reason why you should do land banking is because it requires minimal startup capital. You don't need to gather money that you use to build a skyscraper before you invest in land banking. You don't need to gather money to build a house. No, you don't need all of that in land banking. With as little as less than 1 million naira, you can start your land banking portfolio. That is why I said from the beginning that land banking is both for the poor and for the rich. The rich can invest in land banking, and at the same time the poor can also invest in land banking. It doesn't require huge startup capital. The last reason why you should invest in land banking is because it doesn't require maintenance. If you are doing land banking, it doesn't require maintenance. It is not like a building that you have to keep maintaining it. It doesn't require maintenance. You can buy a land and you can leave it like that. It doesn't need to maintain the land. So even if you don't have money, even after buying a land, you don't have money to do anything on it. If the land is there, the land is not going to rot. You don't need more money to maintain your assets if you're doing land banking. So these are some of the reasons why you should do land banking. Now, it is important that you know that not all locations are good for land banking. When I say that land banking is buying undeveloped land, I don't mean going to your village to buy land. I don't mean going to your village to buy land. That is one mistake most of our parents did. They went to the village to acquire land, to claim dominance, to tell the villagers that they have arrived. And today, that land worth nothing. So if you want to do land banking and do it right, there are strategic locations that you should be buying from. And how do you know those strategic locations? You should be buying from locations that have good potential for development. How can you know a location that have good potential for development? You should be looking at the development that is currently in a particular location and the development that is coming to that location. That is what will give you an insight if that place is going to do well or not. For example, the development that was coming to Epe was one of the things that made a lot of real estate companies to go down to Epe and acquire properties there. And today that those developments are coming one after the other, you see that those people, they are crashing out big time because of those developments. Another thing that will help you to know a good location to do land banking is to look out for places that have government presence. What is the government doing about that place that you want to buy land from? What infrastructures is the government bringing to that location? We know that in Nigeria, every land belongs to the government by the Land Use Act. If the government that owns the land is not going there, then it is not safe for you to go there if you want to do land banking profitably. The next is, how much can you make if you are doing land banking? In Nigeria, you can make as much as 30% if you are doing land banking. You can make from 30% to 100 or even more than 100% return on investment annually if you are doing land banking. And if you decide to go a step further by improving the land, by adding value to the land, you can even make from 100% to 200% annually in land banking. The next thing we're talking about is the mistake that a lot of people are making when they are doing land banking. A lot of people do not buy land because it is too pushy. That is a capital mistake. If you are doing land banking, don't neglect to buy a land because you see it to be too bushy. It looks like a forest. Don't neglect a place because of how bushy it is. That is a capital mistake in land banking. The second mistake people are making in land banking is they buy just one plot. They buy few plots. That is another huge mistake. If you want to make it huge, if you want to make it big time in land banking, then you must think of buying in bulk. You must think of buying in bulk if you want to make it huge in land banking. That is how many billionaires, that is how they make their money. If you want to do land banking and the plot of land in the place where you want to buy is selling for 1 million naira, if you have the money to buy as much as 100 plots, please buy in bulk. You are not going to regret it. If you are doing land banking and you want to make it big in land banking, then you must think of buying in bulk. Don't buy small, buy in bulk. That is one mistake that so many people are making in land banking. The next mistake many people are making in land banking is they buy land in places that are already developed. That is not land banking. If you are buying land in places that have already developed, that is not land banking. Why? Because the rate of appreciation of properties in places that are already developed is not the same with places that are still developing. If your goal is to do land banking and you want to make good money from land banking, then you don't have any business buying properties in places that are already developed. Take for instance, you have 20 million naira and you want to buy a plot of land. Let me take Port Harcourt for instance. In Port Harcourt, if a plot of land is selling in Port Harcourt for, let's say, 20 million naira, the next year the most that place should be selling is, let's say, 23 million naira. That is what maybe that place should be selling in Port Harcourt. But if you take that money, if you take that 20 million naira and you go to places that are not developed, you go to underdeveloped place and you buy a plot of land for 1 million naira. A plot of land that is selling for 1 million naira in places that are not developed, by the next year that same land that is selling for 1 million naira will be selling for at least 2 million naira. Now if you take 20 million naira and you bought 20 plot of land in places that are not developed, you bought 20 plot of land at the rate of 1 million naira, by the next year your money have already generated 40 million naira. But why the person who bought in a place that is already developed have just gotten only 3 million naira on top their 20 million naira? So if you want to do land banking and you want to make good money from land banking, please leave places that have already developed. Go to underdeveloped place and buy land massively from those places. Why? Because the rate of appreciation in underdeveloped place is higher, is far higher than places that have developed. The next mistake that land bankers are making is the mistake of timing. How long do you want to wait before you liquidate your property? How long do you want to wait? If you want to bank on land for just 2 years, you don't have any business going to places that will take 10-20 years to develop to bank your land. If you want to bank your land for 20 years, you don't have any business coming to places that will take 2-3 years to develop to bank your land. One mistake I've observed in Port Harcourt that so many real estate investors are making is that people who want to bank for just 2-3 years, they go to places that will take up to 10 years to develop. And now when they want to sell after that 2-3 years, they will find it difficult to sell. Why? Because the demand for those areas is still very, very low, and so they will find it very difficult to sell their property. And because the demand for properties in that location is still very low and they still decide to sell their property, you find out that they will sell their property very, very cheap, and they will start complaining that they didn't make good profit from the property that they bought, that they didn't make good return on investment from the property that they bought, which is not really the case. The case is that they sold that property when they are not supposed to sell. The property that they sold was not ripe to sell. They sold it when the time is not ripe. So that is the problem that so many Port Harcourt real estate investors are making. The problem of timing. Like in Port Harcourt, for instance, if your goal is to bank your money for 3 to 5 years, you don't have any business going to Ababa, going to Igbo. You don't have any business going there if your goal is to bank for 3 to 5 years, because those places is going to develop, but not rapidly, not immediately. So if you're in Port Harcourt and you want to bank for just 3 to 5 years, you don't have any business going to Ababa, going to Igbo. The next thing is how you can make money from your land banking investment. The goal of land banking shouldn't be just capital appreciation. Of course, it is going to appreciate, but that is not the only goal. You can make money from your land while it still appreciates. And one of the ways you can make money from your land is by adding value to the land. One of the ways you can add value to the land is by getting good documentation for your land. You can get a C of O on your property. For instance, if you buy a property and it doesn't have C of O, and you're able to obtain a C of O for that property, you have added value to that property, and you are going to sell it at a price that is very high when compared to what you bought it. Another way you can add value is you can decide to fence the place, put gates and you lock it, or you can put even a security person to be looking at the property for you. If you buy a bare land and you decide to fence it and put gates, you are going to make huge money from that land instead of leaving it bare like that. If you can fence it and put gates, you are going to be making good money from that investment. The last thing I'll be talking about is when is the right time to sell. If you are doing land banking, when is the right time to sell? And the answer to that is the right time to sell is when the demand for properties in that location is high and the supply is low. When the properties are not as it used to be. When so many people have bought properties in that location and there is scarcity of land in that location, the demand will be very, very high. And if the demand is very, very high, the price of properties in that location will be as well, it will be high. And since the price is high, it is good you sell at that time. At that time when the demand is high, so many people have started building. Many people are building, they are buying to build their personal houses, they are buying to build for tenant. There are a lot of development is going on in that location. People are just buying, people are already living in that place, people already habiting that place, they are already living there. The demand for properties in that place is high, and maybe apart from that your property, there are just few properties that are left in that location. Then it is right time you sell, because at that point the rate of appreciation of property, because development have come to that place, the rate of appreciation of property will no longer be as it used to be. Because if you remember earlier, I said that the rate of appreciation of property is higher in places that are still developing than places that have developed. So when a place have developed, it is best you sell, you take back that money and go and buy in a place that is still developing, because the rate of appreciation of property in that place that have already developed is now less, but the rate of appreciation of property in the place that is still developing is high. So you take your money from that place that have developed, you take your money from there and you go and put it in a place that is still developing. That is how you rinse and repeat. So basically that is it about land banking. I will share some stories of how people life have changed through land banking, but time will not permit me. So I'm sure that you have gotten something, I'm sure you have learned something from this episode. If you have learned something, please go to the comment section. You can drop what you have learned in the comment section. I want to hear from you. And if you are yet to subscribe to our channel, please subscribe to our channel, click on the bell notification so you'll be notified when we post new videos, and also do well to give this video a thumbs up. Till I come your way next time, my name is Chris Asika.